So when we presented the idea, hey, let's make a skincare line for transgender women. I don't know why, at some point, we almost gave up, we thought that this could die anytime now. And we were like, this is it. And then we're gonna keep going. It's not just for awards, we're gonna do it big. We're gonna get a retailer to sell these products. And we saw it in store, and then all of us were like, what? We heard reports that we're selling like 500 bottles a day. So I think it was definitely worth it for sure.
Yeah.
There are a lot of great work out there, some that might have never even won an award. I think to win an award, you need a lot of investment. You need the privilege that, the client, the agency, everyone has the same ambition. I just don't want to discredit work that is great, but never got the opportunity to enter in awards. It costs money to even make a case study or to even pay for entry fees on some of award shows. And I think that's so important to keep pushing for the work, and then the recognition will come, I truly believe that.
Maggie Michelle, such an honor to have you on Emerging LeadHers podcast. I have to say, since moving to Singapore, you're probably one of my most favorite people that I've met. Probably also one of the first people that I met when I moved here, just because, of our work. And what's always just stood out for me is just your ability to courageously challenge, and fight for the brand, the consumer, the creativity. And when I thought about who would I love to chat to on Emerging LeadHers, your name came up lots of times. So welcome, and thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks so much. It's also, I still remember our first meeting where you were just introduced, and I was like, man, we're gonna have to get her to buy our good work. So that was really fun.
And not hard to buy at all.
Yeah.
And also, what a lot of people won't know is you and I have had the pleasure of working on different shoots, late nights, 5 a.m. It's probably one of the few people that would be comfortable having a whole podcast effort. On a more serious note, I just saw recently you are among Singapore's top 10 creatives. How does that make you feel? Are those awards and recognition really important for you?
I think it's definitely good and great to feel recognized, by the industry. And I think what's amazing is also to see the other people that were also having the same interests as you along the tops. And most of us are friends, we know each other. So it's really great to see what each others are doing as creatives. So I just love that community. But I think sometimes it can also create pressure because it's okay, what are we gonna do next?
Yes.
So I try not to care too much about it and try to just focus on the work and actually what we produce and get out of our office as well.
Nice, and very well deserved, by the way. So Maggie, I've no doubt that this recognition is so well deserved. And I just wondered to myself, 14-year-old, 16-year-old Maggie, did you see yourself on a list like this? Did you see yourself as a creative director just doing amazing work?
For sure, no. I wouldn't even make that up because I went to school when I was still young, uni, 15, 16. And I had no idea what to do. And my dad only has a finance background. So when I was in the US by myself, I don't live with my family anymore. And then I was still searching on what kind of career. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know different corporate jobs. So I had to change my major 3 times from finance, marketing, and then finally advertising to finally get it. So that's definitely something I didn't expect at all. And I think neither my family, because I'm one of the first family member to work a corporate job. And I still couldn't believe we get paid for what we do as a creative today. So that's an honor.
So on that, right, you say being paid as a creative, and there's a whole conversation on the power of creativity, the role of creativity, especially when it comes to growing brands, growing businesses. Do you think that sometimes creativity is undervalued or underestimated?
I see now a lot of people use the term creativity also referring to AI because that's pretty much what creative used to do. You gather different visual references, you're trying to make an output, key visuals or frames, storyboards. I do think of those as a tool. And creativity is being undervalued because they feel maybe we don't need a creative to do these different certain things. But I think they are tools. It depends how a brand uses them. And I think regarding ideas and processes, I definitely do not question at all that creative is still needed for sure.
So tell me, Maggie, which part of the creative process do you love?
I just love, so I have like a few creative teams, I mean, throughout the years where we would brainstorm. It doesn't feel like it's work, where we would just get in a room, sometimes we order in, and we would start brainstorming, sometimes with a beer, and you just have this magical moment when all of us agree that this is crazy good. And then that excitement is the one that keeps us going.
Yeah.
So I love that a lot, and throughout the painful process in making that vision happen, once you get the output, it's really cool. I mean, to have a job where you just want to show your family or your friends, like, what do you guys think of this? Isn't this cool? And I think, I just kind of love the journey from ideating, brainstorming, and then producing it, eventually it coming to life, in the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think, speaking about the creative process, and there is an element there of already from agency side, by the time you get to client, you've culled a few ideas. So you're kind of like leading with the best ideas. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've had moments where you just kind of like, I can't believe the client chose that idea of all the ideas that we presented. Have you had moments where you felt the work you shared was like really compromised? Like you end up with an ad or a script where you just like, we've just lost the essence of it. How do you navigate that? How do you prevent that from happening? It's quite a hard, loaded question.
Because it's like, oftentimes I feel like it gets lost in the process. Sometimes there is a one defining moment where it's like, no, we're not gonna do that. That's very clear. And usually, you know me, I would speak up. I would encourage everyone, just say something about this statement, you would try to save it in that moment. Usually, you work through many more stages after that, the right director, the right cut, the right casting, just so many different elements to make it work. And I think, of course, you would try to still do it the best way you can. So, okay, the script is, because of this change, it's not as exciting anymore. And then, maybe we get an exciting director, and then let's see if we can incorporate or bring it back in the process. Maybe it needs to come from the director. And we would have a discussion with the director as well, especially we respect the treatment and the point of view. What do you think? I feel the same way. I'm like, you should say it in the call with me, like with the clients. So I think there's definitely many different process. You would try to get the best you can in every single way so that you have a desirable result that, you still want to show to people or friends or families that, isn't this so cool? I think that's pretty much the process.
Yeah. This idea of obviously having work that both you and the client is, really happy with. And we speak a lot around award-winning, award-worthy work, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that we are at a stage where there's quite a push for awards in the expense of, say, the effectiveness of the work, or is it really true to brand? Recently at Cannes, there was a whole controversy around that. What are your thoughts on that tension, right? On yes, the work must be award-worthy, disruptive, but not at the detriment of being able to build the brand and the business and the effectiveness as well, right?
I think that's interesting because this year I just got involved with winning effectiveness even in Cannes or Effie's, or there's so many more like WARC. And I work very closely with our strategy team. So I think when you present an idea to a client, when it's big, when it's real, you want to make sure what are the results we're looking for.
Yeah.
So even now, before we think of, okay, what campaign to launch or elements, we have a discussion with the client. What are the key measurements? Because you need results. If the campaign is so creative but it fails, everyone would know it, if it gets a backlash. Usually those KPIs are the effectiveness portion of it. Are we trying to increase brand love? Is it long term, or is it a short term, a very quick stunt? I think that would give it justice to the idea, because sometimes you put so much pressure on an idea that's just supposed to be quick and funny. I think everyone is overthinking something to be very effective. And also I would say a lot of times with brands, when they want to do award-winning work, it's not really about, okay, how can we win? It's about how can you make a work that's so cool that, everyone would be jealous of this work, even creatives or other clients or competitors, that it's what are they doing with this, I think that's quite a conversation that you need to have with the clients, of course, regarding results and effectiveness. I'm quite glad that there's a lot more process right now also in Cannes because of the controversy. They're double checking everything. People are rethinking about what results to put, because I think it's important that the industry also keep the right credibility and awards have meaning, you know, in a sense.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned something around, some campaigns that other creatives or brands go, oh, I wish I had done that. You know, is there a campaign or a piece of work that you've seen lately that you go, oh, I wish I had that brief, or I wish I was part of that creative team?
I really thought one of the campaign that stood out to me in Cannes, at least like this year, was AXA 3 Words. Okay. It's super cool campaign that I thought, man, the client must be brave. They must have creative probably also go through like a nightmare with legal, and that's how you know what a good idea is, right? Where, you know, you get relocated every time there's a natural disaster. AXA is like an insurance. Why is it that you don't get relocated when you get abused at home or domestic violence? So the idea was 3 words and domestic violence being added to their policy. So if you made a call to the insurance, they would instantly find a new place for you, which is, I feel like, such a life-changing, powerful. It shows what the brand stands for, the values. It probably resonates to their clients as well from brand perspective. And I think that's the kind of creative work that is real, made an impact. It looks very cool. I was quite shocked when I saw it. Yeah. I wouldn't thought an advertising agency could work with a client in changing their policy. So I think that's very
amazing,
brave.
Yeah. And that's true partnership. I think a lot of the time when we talk around agency-client relationship, like for me, it's always seeing our agency almost as an extension of our team, an extension of our brand team. And I think that's when there's like really strong partnership. Do you really see the magic and the work coming through, right? You've had a great career. You've, you know, worked in New York, you've worked in Indonesia, you're here in Singapore. Just what are your thoughts on the creative landscape at the moment in, say, Asia, Southeast Asia? Like, what's great? Where do you think there's opportunities for us to get a little bit better, a little bit braver? Any thoughts on that?
I honestly feel I have felt it when the client is really on our side, or it's like one side, there's no sides, you know, and it really showcases in the work that you can clearly see that the client is like encouraging this or support you throughout the end. I think we will need this more than ever because of different work streams, different technology, or like budget cuts, or how do we spend our budgets and things like that, that can be a part of a creative discussion, you know, that what do you think this money should go to? This or that? Oh, why is this? Why is that? Like, let's discuss. I don't think everything should be an argument, because sometimes, you know, creative sits there in a room. Someone would just say, hey, by the way, we're cutting the budget in half. And we're like, why? Why can't we talk about it? Maybe we don't need this billboard. Maybe let's put it here in social. Or I think that's very important to work collaboratively for the work itself.
Yeah. We've spoken about, you know, the power of the partnership and the collaboration and producing work that is award worthy. But the reality is not all great work is going to win awards, right? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like sometimes there's this big pressure on, you know, you did this campaign, is it going to win awards?
Yeah, for sure. I think there are a lot of great work out there, some that might have never even won an award. I think to win an award, you need a lot of investment. You need the privilege that, you know, the client, the agency, everyone has the same ambition. I just don't want to discredit work that is great but never got the opportunity to enter in awards. It costs money to even make a case study, or to even pay for entry fees on some of award shows, or maybe from some of the region that is less focused on awards, and which is why a lot of countries are winning their first awards very recently. And I think that's so important, to keep pushing for the work, and then the recognition will come, you know. I truly believe that.
And do you think that marketers should be braver in the work that they do?
I think so.
Tell me
because
more.
Even not just me, I think internally with everyone, with clients, everyone as a team, when you have a high ambition, and then sometimes we only find the words awards for it, or brave, or fame work, or you want to get noticed, I think it gives you a different mindset when you execute something. It's not about what do we need to do to make this work. It's about like this needs to work. Like we don't even question the idea anymore. And a lot of times I even have clients that can explain the idea better than me. Yeah. And I'm like, wow. And I watch her sell it to her market. And I'm like,
that's it.
This is like it's almost like it's your idea. I think that's definitely the kind of bravery you need, because if not, I don't think it would survive all the different stages that it has to go through.
And talking about brave work, and I think brave work often comes with what is challenging work, right? That pushes you out of your comfort zone. Do you have a campaign that you've worked on, that you're really proud of, but at the same time, that it wasn't an easy journey, anything that comes to mind that you want to share, and what did you learn about it from that, or rather from that experience?
So at the time, we had this idea of transition body lotion, that skin changes when you transition because you take different hormonal pills or different type of creams. And I was reading all of these research papers or online articles or just social media. I didn't know what to do or what we could do about it. So when we presented the idea, hey, let's make a skincare line for transgender women, I don't know why or what ingredients, I don't know any of these questions or how to answer them. But then the whole team decided we're gonna go for it. We're gonna figure it out. So at any given moment, the client was like, I was quite ready because we don't know what we need to put in the lotion, to make it acceptable. The client bought the idea anyway. And we're like, but this could die anytime. We all knew. We were introduced to doctors, scientists, people I would have never spoken to as a creative in advertising. I wouldn't have imagined that.
Yeah.
After meetings, this took 2 years. We even gathered a lot of transgender women in a focus group to pick everything and literally tell us how it works, what's the difference, because we don't know. We were there with scientists, and finally we came upon an ingredient that's like a really silver lining, at the end of the tunnel kind of thing, where we're like, this is working. And that moment we were just, okay, we're gonna go all in. This is not just awards work. We have to sell this to a retailer, to sell this exclusively. At some point, we almost gave up. We thought that this could die anytime now. If there's nothing real, let's drop this. I remember there was an ingredient called isoflavones. It was driven from soy. And we were like, this is it. And then we're gonna keep going. It's not just for awards, we're gonna do it like big. Like we're gonna get a retailer to sell these products. And even like recently, even with you, I went to Thailand with you, and then we saw it in store. And then all of us were like, what? And we heard reports that we're selling like 500 bottles a day. So I think it was definitely worth it for sure.
Yeah. No, I remember you sharing that experience with me. And I think what stood out for me is just, again, like when you start with consumer first and a true insight, I think it lands on not only just great campaigns or creative work, but even just from an innovation perspective. That story, rather, for me is always just a great reminder of how important it is to be consumer obsessed and be clear on what that insight is that's driving the work, right? Yeah. So Maggie, like we've spoken about a lot of great things, and I just wondered to myself, what advice do you have for other emerging leaders or other young female creatives who are thinking, how do I crack, make it in the industry? How do I create work that is meaningful, that wins awards, that drives the client's business? Like any nuggets that you want to share with them?
I had like this weird reflection, I think last year, about what has changed about it. I think, when I started in the industry, you believe if it's your idea as a creative, you would have the vision. And I honestly believe that if you can share that vision with everyone, it's better not to hold on to something so tightly, but open it for everyone, and then you can make it bigger.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, I want everyone to feel like this is their idea. Yes. And then, you should be sad about this. It should keep you up at night, And I think that kind of sense of ownership in a new, meaningful way, that it's like we need a whole village to own this and like make it happen.
Yeah.
Because if you just hold on to it forever, it'll just be that small.
Yeah, that resonates. I mean, every time I have had the opportunity to connect with you and chat, and that comes through a lot in your work, right? I think you're always a person at the table who's about the partnership and how do we build off of this idea and how do we make it better, like open to being challenged so that the work gets better. And I have to say that's definitely one of your superpowers. Okay, so on every episode, we end off with some rapid fire questions. So you ready?
I think so.
Okay. So what belief about leadership have you changed your mind about?
I think it's the type of leadership that is, maybe I don't know if it's old-fashioned or in any way, that is like a, you just listen, you don't talk back. I think it has changed completely. Now I'm under leadership that would ask for my opinion, to speak up. So I think that's the way to go. You feel heard, you feel seen.
Yeah.
And I think that is the kind of leader I want to be anyway.
Second question, what are you currently unlearning?
I'm unlearning to just let go. I think usually sometimes when it's so difficult, time consuming, and then I don't feel like, guys, is this even worth it? And I'm kind of unlearning to let go so easily, because I started there where, I would churn out 20 ideas. Okay, you don't like anything? Cool, I can come up with more. And I think now I'm unlearning to no, just fight back. Like, what's the loss? It's already there. So I'm trying to do that more.
Last one, what's something people assume about you that's completely wrong?
Maybe not completely wrong, maybe half wrong, but because of all these awards, rankings, and LinkedIn's and all these kind of things, people would just be, oh, you're an awarded creative, oh, you're an award winning, oh, there's a day-to-day award person, and day-to-day and an award person. And I think a lot of people have no idea the type of stuff I've hid under the rugs, that I'm like, I wish no one would know I did this campaign. And that happens a lot, because sometimes you work with a brand for years. You just have to keep going and then push together until you actually arrive with something you're proud of. Because it's not like the first few campaigns you do with a client, it's not gonna be up there. So I think I would say that's like a half right, half true, half wrong, yeah.
Well, Maggie, thank you so much. It's been such a great conversation. I think every conversation I have with you, I leave feeling not just inspired, but actually just energized about what is possible, right? So thank you for that gift, and thanks for being on the show.
Thanks.
Hello you, or should I say emerging leader, it's Mots, and I'm just checking in to see if you've listened to the latest episode, or more importantly, subscribed to the channel. Okay, bye.